Hello and welcome to Slade on Slade. This is my beautiful wife Leslie. I am Keith, and today we're going to be doing
pros and cons of self-publishing.
Pros and cons of self-publishing. At first, I just want to pimp my book, The House of Ribbons, due out
sometime soon.
one of these videos you're going to be like, hey, look, he's got a release date, you know? And then you'll be watching that 5 years from now. You're like, oh, his release date already happened.
Yes. So the first thing we're going to do is pros of self-publishing. So the first pro is going to be creative control.
Yeah, you're going to want that creative control. I interviewed a couple of friends who have been writing since the 80s, and they lament the idea that they went with a publishing house when they were young, because the publishing house, you just become the face of your book. You have no control. They want to turn your character into a woman. Boom, they can do that. They can edit in any way, shape, or form they want. Why? Because they've paid you for your book. It's their book now. Your name is on the book.
So the next one is you get to hand pick your publishing team.
Yep.
So that's your editors, your cover design, and your formatters.
When you go with a major publishing house, you don't get to you don't get to say, "Hey, man, I'm not feeling this editor." They'll tell you tough shit right to your face. They'll be like, "We don't care."
And then the next one is you get your higher royalties.
Yep. In case you don't know, this might come to a shocker. If you see a book that's on the stands for $26.99, that writer only got maybe $3.50 at the max for those things. And if they got an upfront fee, $100,000, let's say, right up that, until that book makes $100,000, you don't make jack and or shit.
So the next one is there's no deadlines.
Yeah, you have no deadlines.
And then it's a quicker turnaround because your book could be sitting on somebody else's desk.
Yeah, so they're going to push you, hey, man, I need 3 chapters by this point. What is that really for a writer? For someone like Stephen King, who gives birth to nightmares on page, hey, man, he can do that. I mean, he's got, many years doing this and that. For those of us that are just starting out and only have a couple of years under our belts, a deadline like that could destroy the writing process for you. And then when you give it to them, you're going to say, oh, here it is. You're going to get somebody who goes just like this. He goes, yeah, I'm going to get back to you in a couple of months on that. Why? They're dealing with a bunch of other people. They're there to make money, okay? So you are just the horse in the stable. You run, and then they tell you to go into the stable, and then you're just sitting. It's a hurry up and wait game either way.
So the next one is going to be there's no gatekeeping or rejection letters.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about any of that shit. I was accepted at 2 different publishing houses, and I declined. And one of them was painful to decline too, because the offer was really nice. Unfortunately, the woman was very honest in the beginning and said, I want to make A, B, and C to change. And that's after only reading 15 chapters. And she wanted to change it to suit today's political climate. And this is a sci-fi, romance, fantasy, dark, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, I'm not feeling that. Maybe if I was 20, but I don't need that money that bad. I want the money, but I'm not at sacrificing my, because the political climate changes all the time. Who gives a shit about that? I don't care about politics.
So the next thing is you get more frequent paydays. So what traditionally you probably only get paid twice a year. This one you could get paid monthly.
I got a buddy who published something from one of our deployments, and he published on Amazon and like 10 different digital sites. He's happy. He's happy with the paydays he's getting. He took a big risk too. Never go hardcover right off the bat.
The next one is you can maintain your rights to your book. So if you want to the book doesn't do good, the first book doesn't do good, you can still put out the second book.
So I'm going to build on what you just said. So let's say my wife is the publishing house, and we get into bed, okay? And then book 1, it just doesn't do well, okay? Don't forget, you have to advertise. They're not going to advertise for you, okay? Stephen King's name advertises for him. One person says on the news, Stephen King's got a book coming out. Everybody flocks to it, which is great. He's built that reputation. He deserves that. He's earned that. But people like us, man, we got to work where I'm doing it right now. So if the book doesn't do well, my wife Leslie can say, hey, listen, we're not putting out book 2. You know what you get to do with book 2? Nothing. You know why? Because they already bought book 1. they own that shit now. You got to wait till it gets released. Maybe you get lucky and they release it back to you. But if they've given you $100,000, if they've given you 10 grand, until they make that money back, you ain't getting that book back. You can't release that. And we know a guy, he started writing in the mid 90s, and he did, it was like a 10-book series, something like that. And the first couple of books did really well for him. Then one book didn't do well, and then the publishing house, they went through some kind of transition, didn't want to publish anything, and it took him 15 years to be able to put out the sequels because they wouldn't let go for the thing. I don't know all the details to it, but when you got somebody like my favorite author, C. Dean Anderson, saying right off the bat, whoa, be careful. There is no more stigma about self-publishing anymore. That is that stigma has gone away. Okay, 90% of the world's literature is sold on a digital platform now. Amazon controls the bulk of it, and you got 12, 13 other digital platforms. People read on Kindle, their phones. And then it breaks into two classes of people: those who spent their life savings on the editors, and those who self-edited. But that is a completely different video, because the left and the right is radically different than the other.
Okay, so now we're going to go do the cons of self-publishing. So the upfront cost, finding a reputable publishing. So you're going to have a potential financial loss when you do it.
Reputable publisher? You mean reputable editor?
Publishing, so that's somebody that's like going to, like, Amazon is not the only one you can self-publish.
Oh, yeah, okay, I understand what you mean. Yeah. Some people, there's all these little mini places, and they're little mini publishing houses, and they're set up digital only, and they're like, hey man, I can help you do A, B, and C. Some of those places are just there to get your money. If anybody says right off the bat, hey, I'll edit your entire book for $500 and I get it back to you in 2 months, tell them to take a hike, tell them to kick rocks.
Mm-hmm.
6 to 9 months if you have a book at 200,000 words or more.
So the next thing is there's no agent.
Yeah.
You don't have somebody pimping your book to publishing companies for somebody to buy your book from.
Agents do a little more than just that. If you're lucky enough to get an agent, it's worth whatever little percent they're asking for, because they can only have so many people in their stable. Because they, if an agent was like, yeah, I got about 100 people, 50 people, whatever, nope, that's not a real agent. A real agent handpicks the person because they see potential in you.
So the next one is less opportunity to acclaim. So that is getting your book out there. You still have to sell. You still have to self-advertise, but getting your book out on shelves.
Yeah, and again, that's where if you're lucky enough to get an editor, because an editor knows who to call that rep from Target and say, hey man, blah 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 blah, room for a kid's book, this, that, and the other thing. That's what they do. These editors are gatekeepers. They know, not editors. I'm sorry, I meant agents are gatekeepers. So think the Matrix, the key master. They have a lot of different keys, but they get a lot of submissions, and 90% of the submissions is going to be trash. So when they accept you and they says, hey man, I'm going to need X amount, this is a person who can get you on a Walmart shelf or a Target shelf or in what they call bricks and mortar.
So the next thing is the stress of running your own business, because you still have to pay taxes even though you are.
Yeah, get good at paying your taxes. Get good at finding out what you can write off. I found that I can write off toys. Now I can't write off a lot of them, but I can. You know why? Imaginative play breeds creativity, allows me to write because I can act out my scene. That is no bullshit. That is what a tax expert told me.
And then the last thing that we have is you have to wade through the sea of fiction. So you have to figure out how to make your book stand out, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. So here I am. I am Keith. This is my wife Leslie, and we are one YouTube channel in an ocean of YouTube channels. So where am I in an ocean of fiction when it just comes to the book? Holy shit. We've gotten to know friends from a writing group, and one guy was like, oh yeah, I publish a book every year on Amazon, and his books are like 200 pages. They're like mini books, so they're like novellas. But they're all unedited. So this is one of those things where here I am writing a science fiction, fantasy, dark romance. I don't know what else the editor called it, because she was like, "God, it's all these things. They fit into all these categories." I'm like, "Good, you're making my head spin around." But then she was like, "And last year there was 8,000 sci-fi fantasy books released in 1 year." I'm like, "Holy, that's crazy." So I'm going to be one voice screaming for your dollar when everybody else is screaming the same exact thing.
Yep.
That's why we try to do our content. We're the only writing team. We're the only husband and wife writing team. And there's a lot of great content. We watch a lot of other writers, and what I notice is weird things I don't like. Like, writers are always like, "Hey, I'm going to tell you how to write a subplot." I don't know. They're always, why are you always sitting with books behind you? It doesn't make you look smarter. They're not your books. You didn't write that shit, okay? You know what I got in the back? This is my inspiration. See, this is He-Man is all about the multiverse. I wrote a multiverse book, a book about the multiverse. So I'm just showing you my element. But I see, so in this ocean of people just on YouTube, we got to stand out. What do? I use my charm, my wit, and the obvious good looks. My wife is definitely the brains and the beauty. As the chief, what is it again you do?
Well, I do a multitude of things. I run your Facebook page, your social medias.
Yeah, you're a beta reader.
Yeah. And
I was cueing her to say beta reader.
Well, I'm doing.
And she manages the other beta readers, because it's not that I don't want to talk to some of these people, but some of them are her friends. 2 of them we found on a website.
And sometimes if you get my husband off on a tangent, it takes.
Hell yeah, I got bonkers, man. I'll talk to you for hours. And one of her friends, and we talked for like 2 hours about why her failing relationships, and I'm like, this.
I never got to the book.
Yeah, I never got to the book. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like 2 a.m, but I'm super polite, and I will talk to you all day long.
So, not to cut you off, my love, but that is all we have for you today. So if you like our content, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button.
I never finished. What do you do when you're in Ocean? You know what you do? You just be you. You know, if you want to cut your video in front of a nice tapestry, in front of toys, in front of a bookshelf, hey man, do you. You know why? That's you. And that's with the authenticity that I like. And a lot of the writing videos, I really do. A lot of great advice. I'm just trying to add something that I don't see the writers doing. I'm trying to be funny with my wife, because if this channel was just me, you guys would tune off, because I wouldn't be able to hold it, you know? So
that is...
Eye candy.
That is all we have for you today. So if you do like our content, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button below.
Share if you can share it. It really helps the channel.
Every little bit helps. If you want to go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr to find out updates on the book and more video content, go ahead and like. If you leave a comment, below.
You ask a question, I get back in touch, and most of the people don't leave it here, they leave it in the other digital platforms, but I write back absolutely everybody, because I appreciate you guys. Will it be harder when it's like 1,500 people? Yeah, that'd be a little harder, but I just put it in the groups, but I appreciate it.
But that is all we have for you today, so we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.